You are listening to Embracing the Unknown. Book 7 of Iron Rule Collection, written by Akumah and voiceover by Sara. Akumah Audiobooks. Chapter 5, Uncovering the Truth. The sun had barely risen over Ridgewood by the time Jackson and Mara set out for the nearby village. A palpable tension lingered in the cool morning air, as if the world itself was holding its breath in anticipation. Jackson could hardly contain his excitement, eager to delve deeper into the mystery surrounding Eli West and the enigmatic guardian spirit. Their encounter in the woods weighed heavily on his mind, a constant reminder that they were standing on the precipice of something extraordinary and potentially dangerous. Mara, walking beside him, seemed equally determined, but her brow was furrowed with concern. "You think the villagers will actually know anything?" she asked, her voice steady yet tinged with apprehension. "I hope so," Jackson replied, gripping the strap of his backpack. Eli mentioned a few names in his journal, people who might still remember the old stories. If anyone knows about the guardian spirit or the legends tied to the forest, it'll be them. They made their way down the winding road that led from the hotel to the village, the familiar landscape morphing into something more vibrant and alive. Lush greenery lined the path, the flowers blooming in bursts of color. It was a stark contrast to the foreboding woods, where shadows lurked and secrets lay buried. As they approached the village, Jackson noticed a change in the atmosphere. The streets were lined with quaint cottages, their windows adorned with colorful flower boxes, but there was a certain quietness that made him uneasy. The villagers moved about their day with purpose but rarely made eye contact, their expressions a mix of wariness and curiosity. "We should start at the cafe," Jackson suggested, glancing at a small, inviting building at the edge of the square. "It's usually a good spot for locals to gather." Mara nodded in agreement, and they entered the cafe, a bell chiming softly overhead. The rich aroma of freshly brewed coffee filled the air, mingling with the sound of quiet conversations and the clinking of cups. The ambience was warm and inviting, but Jackson felt the eyes of the patrons drawn to them as they walked in. They made their way to the counter, where an elderly woman with silver hair tied into a neat bun stood preparing pastries. She looked up, her gaze sharp and discerning. "What can I do for you too?" she asked, her voice carrying an undertone of curiosity. "Hi, we're looking for information about the forest nearby," Jackson said, summoning his confidence. "Specifically, we've heard about a guardian spirit that's connected to it." The woman's expression shifted, her eyes narrowing slightly. "You're not the first to ask about that," she replied cautiously. "But I can't say it's a topic we discuss openly." Jackson exchanged a glance with Mara, who seemed equally intrigued and apprehensive. "What do you mean?" he pressed, sensing an opportunity. "We're just trying to understand the local legends." The woman sighed, glancing around the cafe as if ensuring no one was listening. "The forest holds many stories, some are best left untouched. The guardian spirit, as you call it, has a history that goes back generations. Many have tried to uncover its secrets, but few have returned unscathed." "What do you mean by uncached?" Mara asked, leaning forward. "Is there a danger in exploring the woods?" "Danger? Oh, certainly," the woman replied, her voice dropping to a whisper. "The spirit protects its domain fiercely. Those who seek to disturb the balance are often met with misfortune. There are tales of people who have ventured into the woods and never returned. Others have returned, but changed." Jackson felt a chill run down his spine. "Changed how?" The woman hesitated, her eyes clouded with memories. "Some lose their minds, drawn into the whispers of the forest. Others claim to have seen visions, of the past, of lost souls. It's as if the woods have a way of trapping you in its history, binding you to the land." Mara's expression turned serious. "But what does it want? What does the guardian spirit protect?" "The forest protects the balance between the natural and the spirit world," the woman explained. "But it can also be vengeful. Those who tread lightly are often left alone, but those who intrude, well, they might find themselves caught in a web of the spirit's anger." Jackson felt the weight of her words. "Do you know anyone who has encountered this spirit? Anyone who might have more information?" The woman nodded slowly. There's an old man named Grayson who lives on the outskirts of the village. He's lived here longer than anyone, and he knows the old stories. If anyone can help you, it's him. Where can we find him? Mara asked eagerly, her curiosity piqued. Follow the path to the edge of the village, and you'll find his cottage by the river, the woman instructed, her eyes lingering on them with a mixture of caution and intrigue. But be careful. Not everyone who visits him leaves the same. With their minds racing from the cafe encounter, Jackson and Mara thanked the woman and set off toward the river. As they walked, the village began to feel more like a facade, hiding something beneath its cheerful exterior. The sun cast long shadows across the ground, and Jackson couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. I'm starting to feel like we're in over our heads, Mara said quietly, glancing around as if expecting to see the figure from the forest lurking in the shadows. Maybe, Jackson admitted, but we can't turn back now. We have to find out what Eli experienced. We owe it to him. They reached the edge of the village, where the path narrowed, winding through thick trees toward a small cottage nestled beside the river. Grayson's home appeared humble yet charming, with wildflowers growing in front and smoke curling from the chimney. Taking a deep breath, Jackson knocked on the weathered door. After a moment, it creaked open, revealing a tall man with a scruffy beard and kind eyes that held the weight of countless stories. What brings you two to my doorstep? Grayson asked, his voice deep and gravelly. Mr. Grayson, we were told you might know about the guardian spirit in the woods, Jackson said, feeling both nervous and hopeful. We're looking for answers about the legends connected to it. Grayson studied them for a moment, his gaze piercing but not unkind. The guardian spirit, you say? Few dare speak its name, yet here you are, seeking the truth. We encountered something in the woods, Mara added, her voice steady. A figure that warned us to leave. We want to understand what we're dealing with. Grayson nodded, as if this was a common tale. Many have come to learn of the spirit, and many have left with more questions than answers. You are wise to be cautious. The woods hold memories of those who have come before you. What do you mean? Jackson asked, feeling a sense of urgency. The spirit is not merely a guardian, it is a keeper of balance. It remembers all who have trespassed, all who have sought to disrupt its domain, Grayson explained. It does not take kindly to those who venture too far without respect for the past. Respect? Mara echoed. How do we show respect to something we can't even understand? Grayson stepped aside, gesturing for them to enter his cottage. Inside, the walls were lined with books and trinkets collected over a lifetime. A fire crackled in the hearth, casting flickering shadows that danced across the room. The first step is understanding the stories, he said, pulling out a dusty tome from a nearby shelf. This book contains the legends of our land, of the spirit and those who sought its favor. You must read and learn before you dare to enter the woods again. Jackson accepted the book, feeling its weight in his hands. What if the spirit doesn't want us to learn? What if it seeks to protect its secrets? Then you must tread carefully, Grayson replied, his eyes serious. The woods can be both a friend and a foe. If you seek to uncover the truth, you must be prepared to face the consequences. Mara exchanged a glance with Jackson, both of them feeling the gravity of Grayson's words. We're willing to do what it takes, Jackson asserted. We need to find out what happened to Eli. Grayson nodded slowly. Very well. Study these tales, and when you feel ready, return to the forest. But remember, the truth may not be what you expect. With that, Jackson and Mara left Grayson's cottage, the book clutched tightly in Jackson's hands. They walked back toward the village in silence, each lost in their thoughts. The weight of the stories they were about to uncover pressed heavily upon them. Once back at the cafe, they settled at a table in the corner, the book open before them. The sun streamed through the window, illuminating the pages filled with illustrations and text that spoke of ancient rituals, of people who had once lived in harmony with the spirit of the woods. They spent hours poring over the stories, their excitement mingling with unease. Tales of offerings left at the base of the statue, of chants sung to appease the guardian spirit, and of the consequences faced by those who had entered the woods with disrespect or greed. Each story resonated deeply, weaving a complex tapestry of the past. As they delved deeper, Jackson felt a connection forming, an understanding of the land and its spirit that transcended mere curiosity. He recognized that Eli had been searching for something vital, something that had ultimately led him to the forest and its mysteries. "Look at this," Mara said suddenly, pointing to an illustration in the book. It depicted a circle of stones surrounding a small altar, with offerings placed upon it, a stone carved with intricate designs, flowers, and what appeared to be small trinkets. This could be a ritual site. If Eli was trying to connect with the spirit, he might have left something here. Jackson leaned closer, his heart racing at the thought of uncovering more of Eli's past. "We need to find this site. It could give us insight into what happened to him, or at least provide a way to communicate with the guardian spirit." Mara's eyes shone with determination. "We should mark down any locations mentioned in the book. If we find the site, maybe we can leave our own offerings and show our respect." They spent the rest of the afternoon immersed in the legends, jotting down notes and cross-referencing locations mentioned in the text with a local map. As the sun began to dip toward the horizon, casting an orange glow across the sky, they felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. They were on the brink of something monumental, but the weight of the stories they had read loomed large. "Let's rest tonight and prepare," Jackson suggested as they stepped outside the cafe. The village was quieter now, the earlier bustle fading into the evening calm. "We can head back into the woods at dawn. We'll be better prepared with what we've learned." Mara nodded in agreement, though her expression was still somber. "I can't shake this feeling that we're being watched. It's like the forest knows we're coming." "That's probably just the stories getting to us," Jackson replied, trying to reassure her. "We're stepping into a world that holds deep-rooted beliefs. The mind can play tricks when faced with the unknown." But even as he spoke, he couldn't ignore the shiver of unease that crept along his spine. They made their way back to the hotel, but the atmosphere felt different, almost electric, as if the very air thrummed with anticipation. That night, they lay awake, the journal and the book of legends spread out on the table between them. The fire crackled softly in the corner of the room, casting flickering shadows that danced along the walls. Jackson stared at the ceiling, thoughts racing as he tried to piece together the clues that would guide them. "Mara," he whispered, breaking the silence.
"Yeah,"
she replied, her voice barely above a murmur. "What if we're wrong about this? What if we disturb something we can't handle?" Mara turned to face him, her features illuminated by the firelight. "I know it's risky, but if we don't try, we'll never know what happened to Eli. We can't let fear control us." Jackson nodded, feeling a surge of gratitude for her unwavering spirit. "You're right. We have to go through with this. For Eli." As dawn broke the next morning, they gathered their supplies, the book of legends, some offerings, a few trinkets they had found at the local market, flowers, and a small stone they'd painted with symbols from the stories. They set out for the woods, a sense of purpose propelling them forward. The moment they stepped beneath the canopy of trees, the atmosphere shifted. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and the sound of rustling leaves. It felt alive, as if the forest itself was aware of their presence. "Stay close," Jackson said, glancing at Mara, who nodded, determination etched on her face. They navigated through the dense underbrush, retracing the path they had taken previously. Jackson felt a sense of dread creep in as they neared the statue. The figure stood tall and imposing, its features worn by time but still watchful. The whispers returned, soft and haunting, swirling around them like an ethereal fog. Mara stepped forward, her eyes locked on the statue. "This is it," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "Let's set up the offering," Jackson replied, his heart racing. They carefully placed the trinkets and flowers at the base of the statue, their hands trembling slightly. "Do you think this will work?" Mara asked, her eyes searching Jackson's face for reassurance. "We have to believe it will," he replied, taking a deep breath. "We're showing our respect, just like the stories said." This is our way of connecting. They stood together, eyes fixed on the statue as Jackson recalled the rituals described in the book. Let's try to summon the spirit, he said, glancing at the text for guidance. We need to speak the words that Eli might have used. Mara nodded, her expression resolute. I'm ready. Jackson took a deep breath and recited the words they had practiced from the legends, his voice steady but reverberating with the tension in the air. Great guardian spirit of the woods, we come before you with respect. We seek to understand the balance of nature and spirit. We honor those who have come before us, and we wish to learn from you. As the last word left his lips, an uncanny silence enveloped them. The forest felt still, as if holding its breath, waiting for a response. Jackson's heart raced, anticipation thrumming in his veins. Suddenly, the whispers intensified, swirling around them like a tempest. Jackson exchanged a glance with Mara, who looked both terrified and exhilarated. The air thickened, and he felt an energy pulse through the ground, a vibration that resonated deep within his chest. Mara, do you feel that? He whispered, his voice barely audible over the rising intensity.
Yeah,
she replied, eyes wide as she looked around. It's like the forest is alive. And then it happened. From the depths of the woods, a figure began to emerge, a shimmering form that flickered in and out of view, ethereal and hauntingly beautiful. It floated just beyond the trees, its presence commanding yet gentle. The guardian spirit had answered their call. Mara! Jackson gasped, awe washing over him. The figure moved closer, and as it did, the whispers morphed into words, soft and melodic, echoing in the air around them. Seekers of truth, why do you disturb my realm? The voice resonated, powerful yet soothing, wrapping around them like a warm embrace. We seek knowledge. Jackson called out, stepping forward. We want to understand the balance you protect. We need to know what happened to Eli West. The spirit's gaze seemed to pierce through him, as if assessing their intentions. Eli sought answers, but the truth can be both enlightening and perilous. He was drawn to the secrets of this forest, yet he failed to honor the warnings. What do you mean? Mara asked, her voice trembling. What happened to him? The forest remembers, the spirit replied, its form shimmering with an ethereal glow. Eli uncovered fragments of the past, but his curiosity led him to the edge of madness. He became ensnared in the whispers, losing his way amidst the echoes of lost souls. Jackson felt a rush of dread. Is there a way to bring him back? Can we help him? The spirit's expression shifted, a hint of sadness in its gaze. To restore balance, one must acknowledge their place within the cycle. Eli must confront the truth he sought to uncover. Only then can he be freed from the grip of the woods. Mara stepped forward, her determination unwavering. How can we help him? We're willing to do whatever it takes. Return to the heart of the forest, the spirit instructed, its voice resonating with authority. There lies a hidden glade where the memories of the past converge. Only by facing the shadows of what has been can you hope to find Eli and bring him back to the light. As the spirit's words faded, the figure began to dissolve, melding into the forest as the whispers intensified once more. Jackson and Mara stood in stunned silence, the weight of the spirit's message heavy in the air. We have to find that glade, Jackson said, adrenaline coursing through him. It's our only chance to save Eli. Mara nodded, her resolve palpable. Let's do this. Akumah Audiobooks. You have reached to the end of the chapter. Click next and continue listening to Akumah Audiobooks. This story consists total of 7 chapters as such 7 videos. Refer to channel playlist for better experience and sequence.